All right, Mopar people, welcome back to the channel. I'm just Mopar Joe. That's not a spaceship behind me, it's a fan of some kind. Anyway, so I'm building an engine, big block Mopar engine. Something occurred recently and I wanted to bring it to light. An issue that can kill your engine. A bad, bad day. This is not clickbait. I'm not into all that stuff. This is real deal stuff. I've talked to actual experts, not just people who play one on YouTube, but something you need to know that I never considered until now. Here are our two thrust bearings. Notice my nifty Silverlight screwdriver that Mike sent me from UEM. Anyway, this is a King racing bearing. It's brand new out of the box. I'm about to use it in this engine. Brand new. Here's a Federal Mogul thrust bearing that has had a failure. You'll notice that side. That went towards the rear of the engine. This came out of a car that had a 4-speed. And you see the damage here. So I believe it's Mark Spencer at Spencer Speed Shop. I know he's on Facebook. Seems to be very knowledgeable. He drills a hole through here, all the way through to that oil gallery right there.
They learned, okay? And I gotta tell you, automatics can be worse than stick shifts. Nobody believes me, okay? A flex plate is designed to flex. Why is it gonna flex? Because the converter, the pressure coming out of the pump into the converter is pushing the converter forward. So we need that flexibility, okay? You get a racing glide or any other kind, you got 1,800 pounds of pressure going into this. Why do they run anti-balloon plates on torque converters? Tell me why they run them, okay? Because the converter wants to balloon with all the pressure in it. It's eaten in thrust bearings. Are you going to see it on a regular street car? No.
Towards the rear of the engine to prevent this kind of failure from happening. In normal building circumstances, I think that would probably be overkill. So these two designs of thrust bearing I wanted to show to you. Notice the 1, 2, 3 cutouts here for more lubrication. I like that. It's on both sides. We just have our two there. So the racing bearing already gives you a little more insurance. But what I'm about to explain or bring up to you, and I know this is going to be a fist fight on the internet for a lot of people. Something outside of this engine can cause this to happen. Just like that heavy clutch and pressure plate did here. There's something else for us automatic guys. And you know, most of us, when we run out of money, we get to the torque converter because we spend it all on our engine. Or we have a converter that we know works, like this pretty B&M unit right there that's multicolored. My brother got that in high school and put behind his stock 400. Notice it used to have weights welded here and here, just like this converter. So this black converter here was a PTC that I purchased. They built, I think it's a 9.5 or 9 inch. It had weights welded on it for a 360, so external balance. That 400 was external balance, that's why that was here. This is a different style of converter. What's causing the bearing failure? This B&M converter does not have any anti-ballooning made into, this is what they call the cover of the converter. I had to learn these terms myself. I didn't know. So this converter, I'm not sure what brand it is. It came out of a car, but I had it rebuilt by Mike Ivan at Top Line Converters, if you want to check them out. This converter, this giant washer right here is called an anti-ballooning plate. So they can have a small one, they can have a large one. There's nothing in this one. So I called and talked to him about specifically this B&M converter. And he said this cover looks very similar to like what you'd see from an OEM converter, which having these big lugs welded on. So an updated version of that. They're pretty thin metal right here. He said, like, example, this cover from the PTC would probably be twice as thick. So if we guessed this was 3/16 of an inch, this is double that. But what's happening when the ballooning takes place, the entire converter has so much pressure in it, which Hughes Converters has a really good video from 7 years ago. I went and watched it. Excessive heat. This converter's been so hot that it was cooking the paint off. You can see paint peeling here. right? It got so hot that it also could have contributed to the ballooning, but you don't have a big enough cooler or whatever. But whenever that balloons, I've even seen converters that had the bolt holes or the bolts themselves from the back of the cranks indented into the converter. So that converter's swelling just like, and we can flip over and look at the other sides too, kind of see the difference in how they're made. Now you can look at the difference in these converter hubs. So the section here and the section that goes actually into the transmission is totally made different. So higher horsepower, these aren't the highest horsepower, let me say that. This is not Neil Chance stuff here, right? Higher the horsepower, we start adding more plating to prevent the ballooning from happening. Also, the shape of this is like a stock converter. I can bring the big RV converter over and I can show you how they're very, very similar. All they're doing is making that smaller, hold less fluid, and change the impellers inside so they throw fluid differently, different fin pitches and all that. We're not getting into that. We're getting into why this converter is a failure for higher horsepower stuff. Well, at what point do you want to upgrade your converter to something like these two and beyond? Some people wouldn't run this in their 800 horsepower application, but those are stout built converters. I wouldn't have an issue. Actually, I'm going back with this one in my purple car. That one came out of the purple car that I would foot brake with. Spraying 200 shot of nitrous on, never had an issue. No issues at all. This stock style converter, I would think if you're getting over 400 or 500 horsepower, it's time to pitch it. We finally outgrown that one. Because we do things for science around here, we're gonna put a little hole in this baby. Especially since it's never gonna be used again. It's probably burnt up on the inside and it's missing a lot of teeth that have been welded back on 2 or 3 times. My little one just punched through. There's one way to drain your converter. I just had to know. 0.1875, if I can get a 5 on there. Close enough. 0.1875 is 3/16 of an inch. And that's it. Let's look at that other one with the anti-ballooning plate. Sadly, I won't be drilling this one because I have to use it. But just our plate thickness itself, let's see if we can figure it out. Touch off. 244, almost a 1/4 inch. There's a difference. Hopefully that gave y'all something to think about. Didn't waste your time too much. I appreciate y'all watching. Bert and I will see you next time. All right, Mopar people.